The reason I want you to pay attention to the video is because I'm going to outline for you some affirmations and stuff like that that you can follow, okay? And these affirmations are really going to help you to get a lot of results in your life and your business. And the reason is because it's gonna automatically change your behavior in the ways that you want, in a way that's outlined to your vision, okay? And so this goes along. Let me move the microphone a little bit closer to me. This goes along with, hold on just one second here. I got to check something. All right. So hold on a second, sir. All right. I got to talk to my friend Elijah the Prophet here in a little bit. All right. Now we're ready to get going. Okay. So this video, particularly what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to install some behaviors into your unconscious mind. I apologize for the rambly beginning. I was checking a bunch of things. I was getting distracted, and now I'm very focused. So what we're going to do is we are going to go through and we are going to basically create a new pattern for you. And this new pattern that we're going to create for you has to do with the way that you are going to interact with the world around you, specifically in the form of behavior that results in in you creating the life that you want in your business, and also the life that you want in your, just everywhere in your life. So whether it's a business that you've got, or whether it is a ministry of some kind that you've got, or whether it's just something that you've got going on with your family. Oh, what's up, Paul Gardner? This is going to really help you to get tons and tons and tons and tons of results, because by the end of this video, you're going to basically install all of these behaviors. Now, I'm going to install the behaviors, all right? But here's the thing. Behaviors take a little while to train into the consciousness. So you don't just want to, for example, allow me to install it and then do nothing. What you want to do is you want to review these things inside your imagination. And when you review these things inside your imagination, okay, you want to review them while saying out loud exactly what that means, a minimum of 3 times a day for 3-4 days. You could repeat them all day for a few days. And if you repeat them all day for a few days, then what's going to happen is you are going to be able to get results in a new kind of way. Okay. So now these are behaviors. Okay. So again, these are behaviors. I talked about the affirmations that were really valuable the other day, and I'm going to review those. The ones I did in the previous video. I'm not doing this from reading. I'm looking right at the camera. There's 2 cameras. So if you see me looking off to the left or the right, there's actually like little 2 cameras right there. They're very close to the top. Now let me review the ones the other day that we had. They were, I love my higher power. I love myself. I love my family. I set crystal clear intentions, right? I plan my work. I work my plan. I deserve great wealth. I take massive daily action in the area, focused on my outcomes. My family deserves great wealth. I stay in submission to my mentors, right? I close every possible sale that's possible for me to close. I'm a living, breathing example of the prosperity of the Torah, okay, which means law, if you're not familiar with that. And then my memory is supernaturally expanding, and my intelligence is supernaturally compounding. I have dominion over every area of my life, right? And my consciousness is exponentially compounding, drawing to me all the resources that I need from the quantum universe, in the form of relationships, in the form of people, in the form of money, in the form of people pulling out their credit cards and making a decision to buy, and it's all coming my way, right? And then I step through the open door of prosperity that's presented to me from the universe, and I enjoy the wealth of my prosperity. So those are the ones we memorized the other day. Now, if you don't know those ones, go back, please, and watch the other video. And this time, please follow the instructions as we're going through in the video, and make sure that you've got them memorized and make sure that you can practice them, okay? So in order to do this, what do we got? Well, what we got is we've got the Cicero method. The Cicero method is there's a story where Cicero is he's a great orator, and he was a great mnemonist that was early on, and he's at this thing, and this room collapsed, this building collapsed, and basically everybody in the audience died in this building while he was speaking. Okay, and he had to reconstruct all of the faces of everyone in that room with his, and he was able to successfully identify the names and the faces of literally every single person that was sitting in that room. And comes from the Cicero method. So the Cicero method basically says that you can memorize things that are of a close circumference to something else. So basically what happens is that your brain memorizes visual connections faster than it memorizes other forms of data. So for example, everybody's like, well, I don't have a good memory. People say things like that in the past before they decided to change. What's up, Phil? But the reality is that they have a fantastic memory. They just haven't trained their memory, and they haven't trained their intention. And most people's brains shut down in a very short period of time of very intense mental work, right? And so this is particularly a problem for somebody that has struggled with attention deficit disorder for many years, like I used to before I changed, where their brain just shuts down after work. Now, this process of their brain shutting down comes from a deficiency in three major systems in the brain, okay? And it's actually in this order. The first deficiency is visual attention and visual memory. I'm just going to put them together, the visual system, okay, because that's really tied to visual memory. That's the first deficiency. The second deficiency is actually a mathematical deficiency. And the third deficiency is actually music, but I think actually music then math. That goes in that order because a lot of people, everybody loves music, not everybody loves math, right? But the reality is that those three systems in the brain kind of tune up the brain, and they enable you to do things that other people can't do with their imagination. So a lot of what I'm going to describe to you comes from memory techniques, where basically, for example, if you look right there, right, you see how my fingernail is touching my nose? Now, if you zoom in on the fingernail, then you close your eyes and you just imagine the fingernail, the whole image just reproduces in your mind, right? Try it again, right? Okay, close your eyes. You see the whole image in your mind. Try it again. Oh, all right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to warm up the quantum abilities. I can see the quantum force. Yeah, I've got really weird stuff that happens on my lives. So we're going to, hey, what's up, Lars? Good to see you. We're going to warm up the quantum energy. And what we're going to do is we're going to warm up the visual system. Okay, so this is going to be probably a 35 to 45 minute meditation. And it's a fantastic thing to do, for example, to listen to this before you go to bed. And then to listen and then review it on your own in the morning and make sure that you've got all the affirmations. So in other words, after I do this with you, after you memorize it, what I want you to do is actually write them out by hand. You really want to do it, write them out by both hands, for the left side and the right side, and then repeat them all. And the way that you repeat them is you see yourself going into the location and looking at one object and the other, right? So, and remember, you don't need emotional energy to memorize anything. Okay, it's not required. It's actually the visual system that's the fastest thing that there is. And you can add emotional energy if you want to later, but the actual connections, they come from crystal clear visual imagery. That's actually the best way to make connections in the brain. Hold on. All right. So let me explain how to do this. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we need 17 objects. So what you want to do is every time you go into a room, you want to look clockwise in the room and single out 5 objects in a room every time you go somewhere from now on. Now in a house, what you do is, let's say you had a floor plan laid out, right? So for example, you'd have the bedroom over here, 5 objects, this bedroom, 5 objects, this bedroom, 5 objects, this bedroom, 5 objects. The important thing is that you remember the exact order of the objects when you're going back through your imagination. Hey, what's up, Ricardo Sims? Good to see you. Right, so you want to remember the exact order of the objects when you're doing it. So we're gonna warm up the visual imagination first, okay, by a symbol that's really useful, I think, to everyone in here, and that's just a symbol of love. So I want everybody here to imagine a visual symbol of love, whatever that means to you, whatever this visual symbol of love means to you, okay? I want you to imagine a visual symbol of love. Like for me, a visual symbol is just like, for example, I've got an image of my wife, okay? And there's a little heart that's drawn on her, right? Right there, and she's holding a balloon with another heart, right? And the kids are there, right? And it's crystal clear, okay? It's crystal clear. Everything about it is perfectly clear. Everything about it is crystal clear. Breathe in really slow, breathe in really deep. See what you want, see your symbol of love. See the little heart balloon. Now I want you to zoom up on it slowly. Make it bright, three-dimensional, okay? Color, vivid detail, and it's moving. Remember, it's zooming up really slow, like this slow. This balloon is zooming up, and you're zooming in on it. And you're just moving this object so slowly in your imagination, seeing it more crystal clear detail as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And boom, the balloon pops and a bunch of commissions rain out from the sky. Now you walk outside and you notice that the street that you used to walk on is suddenly paved with gold and silver, like solid gold. And you take one step and your foot is like connecting slowly to the golden road. And you're actually marching towards the promised land. You're actually marching towards the promised land, slow. The sun is shining down on your skin. You're breathing deeply. Everything in your skin has oxygen. There's oxygen. Just imagine like a little oxygen particle, like a little atom with lights rotating everywhere and spinning in every direction at once. And now it's just a light ball. And boom, you got a light ball. It's rotating in my hand. It's a Merkaba. It's a Star of David. Imagine it's rotating 10 times faster than the speed of light clockwise, right? And then you just grab that inside yourself and it just reorganizes your energy system. Now give one back to me. Now imagine, okay, you're just seeing what's in front of you. You're not seeing anything but what's in front of you or hearing anything but the sound of my voice. You're just seeing what's in front of you. And as you're seeing, staring at one spot only, perhaps my eyes is fine. Everything else around you is still, and your body is deep and still. Now imagine you step out of your body and you walk into a location. You need a place you've been, like your house or your apartment. And you need to single out 17 objects. So 5 objects per room. That's 3.5 rooms. Okay? You can do more objects per room too, but 5 is fine. Okay? Now, what you want to do is, as you look at the objects, you want to zoom in crystal clear detail, 3 dimensions, bright, and you're walking in this kind of spiritual body. If you're driving, you might not want to do this while you're driving, if you're unfamiliar, because you don't want to go into a trance or something like that, and you want to be safe. So if you're driving and you can do it with your imagination and stay safe, that's fine. But if you feel yourself getting a little uneasy, you just snap back into it on the road and you're fine. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to zoom in bright 3-dimensional detail on object number 1. Move in a clockwise direction, object number 2. Move in a clockwise direction, object number 3. Zoom in, bright 3-dimensional, make it bigger, make it more 3-dimensional, put more light in it, put more color into it. Okay, pick the 4th object in the room, bright 3-dimensional. Zoom in on that object a little slowly. Now pick the 5th object in the room. Now you're done with that room, so then you need another room. So what you do, what's up, Albert? So what you do with another room, now what you do is you imagine this next room that you're in. Pick object number 1, zoom in, bright 3-dimensional detail. Object number 2, bright 3-dimensional detail. Object number 3, bright 3-dimensional detail. Object number 4, bright 3-dimensional detail. Object number 5, bright 3-dimensional detail. So now we got 10 objects. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, now we need 7 more objects. So the next room just have 7 objects, okay? Just do it in one room. Walk into the next room, okay? Now pick an object on the left, walk in, turn left, start turning clockwise, zoom in on that one. Now pick a second object in the room. Now pick a third object in the room. Now pick a fourth object in the room. Now pick a fifth object in the room. Now pick a sixth object in the room. You're rotating around. Now pick a seventh object in the room. Now we're going to repeat that whole thing 3 times. Go into the first room, object 1, object 2, zoom in, object 3, zoom in, object 4, zoom in, object 5, zoom in, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, objects, the next room, object 6, next room, object 7, the next room, object 8, the next room, object 9, the next room, object 10, crystal clear, bright 3-dimensional detail. The next room, object 1, the next room, object 2, the next room, object 3, the next room, object 4, the next room, object 5, the next room, object 6, the next room, object 7. So now we're just going to count to 17. 1, 2, 3, and you're seeing the objects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You got it? All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go memorize the affirmations. Okay, so look right into my eyes. Your imagination's warmed up. Now what we're going to do, hyperventilate. Okay, get ready. What's up, Gary Miller? Good to see you. All right, so we're going to get started memorizing these affirmations now. And if you missed the rest of the video, you need the warm-up exercises in order to be able to do it. You say, Dave, why are you doing all this stuff with affirmations? Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm rebuilding my consciousness to be in work mode. Okay, I've been in learning mode for like the last 2 years. I'm rebooting to get in work mode. And so I'm going to do a video like this, like probably every day or 2 with new affirmations. Okay? So it's really important to watch them. Maybe every 3 days we'll do it because then you fixate them in or something. I'm not going to do it probably every day. Okay? So you fixate them, different techniques. Okay? And if you like this kind of value, my memory course where we're going to teach you to memorize the 613 mitzvah, it's going to be beyond your imagination. That's the 613 commandments in Torah. This is way beyond what I can do, in free videos. Way beyond. So, all right. And if you want to travel with me too, you can travel with me and come hang out. We can do stuff like this because this stuff is going to change your life. Like your life you cannot even fathom how much your life is going to change. Okay. You can't even fathom it. All right. So, stare into my eyes. Stare into my eyes. Now going to the first part of the room. Okay, turn to the left. The first object that you're going to do is, this is going to be, what I got is a planner, but you do something yourself. I plan each day. So I got a nice leather planner there. Like Stephen Covey planner is really fantastic. And there's lots of planners that are cheap at Walmart if you can't afford that. All right, but Stephen Covey planners are the best in my opinion. Stephen Covey planner, because they come with training. Okay. Now hook that object, bright 3-dimensional, hook it in there. Now just imagine yourself planning before you go to bed. So you're like, you got this same planner before on your bed, or before you go to bed, you're sitting on a table and you write out the plan for the following day before you go to bed, every day from now on. And then eventually you end up planning a year in advance, 7 days, 365 days. Okay, so I plan every day the day before. Okay, there's a reason why I'm telling you this stuff. I'll tell you the stories later after we go through the memory. Well, actually, no, these stories are valuable. There's all sorts of studies on this, but I'll talk about it later, okay? I plan every day the day before. Number 2, intention. My plans turn, or my everything starts with an intention. My plans start with an intention. I have a whiteboard for an intention because I always write out intentions on the whiteboard. So you could use your own image for intention. Get your image, bright, 3-dimensional. Hook that into the second object. Okay? Intention. I set an intention for every area of my business and my life. That's it, period. Right? You can say it in different ways. This is a symbolic affirmation. It's way better than the way most people do it. Say it a different way every time. You don't need it to be word for word. Okay? 3, outcome. Okay? I got a sexual image there. So there's his outcome, you know. But make an image for outcome. Bright, 3-dimension. Now hook it into the third object. Now go to the fourth object. Okay. Now, so what outcome? Every intention turns into an outcome. Next. Every outcome turns into a step-by-step actionable game plan. Every outcome turns into a step-by-step actionable game plan. Every outcome turns into a step-by-step actionable game plan. Next. Every actionable game plan turns into memorizing the game plan the night before. I'll teach you how to do that in my course. I'm not going to teach you how to do that now. Memorize the game plan the day before. You can kind of use a similar technique. So memorize. I got a picture of a brain sitting on my object, which is a computer. But I don't know what your object is. So put a brain or whatever you want, bright 3-dimensional, connected in that object. So I memorize the game plan and action plan and my schedule and everything. Right? This is before I go to bed. I do this. Next, I wake up out of bed and immediately review the plans in my imagination, meditation. So I sit up, I meditate, and I review my plans from the day before, and I repeat them. Okay? Next object. Okay? Could be in the next room or whatever. I don't remember which one we're at. So the next object is I spend 3 hours. So I got an hourglass, for example. And so when you wake up out of bed, imagine a pillow, for example. That could be the object, bright 3-dimensional pillow, whatever you want to do. Or alarm clock is probably better. I wake up, and for me, I'm going to wake up at 6:30 a.m. from now on. Okay? All right. Now, go to the next object, hourglass. I study for 3 hours a day. Do personal development before I begin my plans. 1 hour memorizing, 1 hour doing mathematics and thinking, and 1 hour writing or something like that. I alternate all the time. It's just 3 hours of study, really, is what it is. Okay, so I got an hourglass connected, and that's what that means. Next object. I take massive daily action. I got a picture of a shovel, like somebody who likes to work hard. Like my good friend Paul Gardner likes to work hard. Shovel, right? Manual labor, work hard. Focused, I got some glasses focused back on my outcomes and my plans and my goals and everything like that. Okay? Next object, my object's a chair. I have balance. Okay? Balance. So I have a balance scale there. I balance my day with proper diet, proper exercise, proper herbal medicines, timing, schedules. That's how I organize my day. So I got a balance. Next object. Okay, it's getting intense, isn't it? Getting very intense. What's up, Gary? Hold on. What's up, Jep? So next object, and you got to watch this whole thing if you're missing out. You got to watch this entire thing, okay? So this is going to install these affirmations into you. Next object, okay? I got everything that it takes to succeed. I got a picture of me, and I'm just sitting up there, and I'm radiating spiritual energy, like I'm translated, like I'm made of organic living diamonds. I'm just so badass, it's unbelievable, right? This is just an image of just badassery to its finest, right? Now, bright 3 dimensions. Now, I lead with value. I got a picture of myself holding up one of my favorite books by Orrin Woodward and the scriptures and everything, right, in my hand. I lead with value. Value, like the prophets. Value, like my mentors. Value, like Dave Sharp. Value, like Bill Britt. Value, like Eric Worre. Value, like Ray Higdon, right? Value. Okay, next. Okay, so I have that. What's your image? It's connected to the next object. Now, I go to the next object, right? And now I got value turns into relationships. I got people shaking hands. I got 2 hands shaking, bright 3 dimension hooked into my refrigerator, for example. That's me, right? Value. I lead with value, right? I lead with value. I lead with value, right? And value turns into relationships. Like all the people watching here, I now have a relationship with you. You have a relationship with me because you're watching this video. You have a relationship with me. It doesn't matter how few people there are or how many people there are. The fact is it's relationships, and the relationships are exponentially expanding. Okay. Next bit. Right? Next bit. Right? Yeah, you got to rewatch the whole thing, right? So the next bit, right? Next object, right? You got it in order. Just go to your next object, right? Relationships turn to conversations. I got me and my wife sitting there on a table in my house, and we're chit-chatting after we eat some dinner. Okay? Relationships. The next one. Okay? Swimming pool. I've got no. I put a swimming pool there because, the relationships turn into conversations that turn into customers. They turn into customers. And I'll give you the formulas for turning customers into reps and everything later with scripts and everything if you're in the team. So, customers, I see a swimming pool connected to this next object. The next one, the customers turn into business relationships. Business relationships. I got a whiteboard sticking through a stop of my stove light, right? That's what I got. Where's your object? Put the whiteboard there. Or your own image for business relationships. It could be a contract, whatever you want. The next object is, right? The next object is that turns into fellowship of the righteous. What's fellowship of the righteous? People that want to make money, people that treat their wives well, people that give money from their income, and they all hang out together, and we all eat together, and we all travel together. Fellowship of the righteous. And what's that turn into? That turns into exponentially compounding leaders. So that's fellowship of the righteous. I got a stove with like a giant spoon in there, and it's just in still motion on top of my stove. Now, the next object is I've got a cupboard. So then what I do in that cupboard, right? Very simply put, in that cupboard, that next object that I've got, I got a book that represents leadership, 13 Resolutions for Life, the same book I was holding up before, right? And then there's like a million books, and then there's my books, and then there's like the whole universe. I'm seeing the gold and silver everywhere in the universe. Now what I want you to do, we're going to go back through it. First object, you got the planner. Second object, you got the whiteboard. Third object, you got the people having sex or whatever. The next object, you've got you got the game plans. The next object, you've got the brain. The next object, you've got the hourglass. The next object, you got the shovel and the glasses. The next object, you got the balance. The next object, you've got the guy that's sitting there and he's saying, I've got everything that it takes, and it's you. And then the next object, you've got yourself holding the book. And the next object, I've got hands shaking. And the next object, I've got myself and my wife. And the next object, I've got the swimming pool. The next object, I've got the whiteboard. The next object, I've got the next object, I've got the spoon, right? With the stove. The next object, I've got the leadership book, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to say the affirmations and I want you to see the images. Okay? I plan every day the previous day before I go to sleep. Number one. Number two, I set crystal clear intentions for every area over my business and life, everywhere. My game plan my plan starts with intention. Number three, my intention turns into outcome. Number four, my outcome turns into a step-by-step written actionable game plan. Number five, my game plan turns into my step-by-step actionable game plan turns into the memorization of that game plan before I go to bed. Number six, when I wake up, I review that plan, immediately sit up and I meditate for maybe 20, 30 minutes or something like that before I do anything else, right? And I review that game plan and I meditate on it for a bit, right? And then I study for 3 hours while I'm exercising, while I'm showering, while I do all that other stuff. I got 3 hours. And then I go to work after that, right? So that wakes up at 6:30. Now I got the shovel, right? So I take massive daily action, focus with the hourglass, with the glasses, focus back. I take massive daily action, focused on my outcomes. The glasses are looking at the other images from across the room. Next, I've got, I balance myself with proper medicines, proper food, proper exercise, proper schedule. You know, everything has a place, everything has a time, there's records kept everywhere, right? Next, I've got everything that it takes to succeed. Got that image of me translated. Next, I lead with value. Next, value turns into relationships. Next, relationships turns into conversations. Next, conversations turns into customers. Next, customers turn into business partners. Next, business partners turn into fellowship of the righteous. Next, that turns into exponentially compounding leadership. Now what I want you to do is go to the end. Imagine the exponentially compounding leadership as you're seeing all the images at once. Now to go to the beginning and you plan each day the previous night. Now, and you do the same thing with weeks, you do the same thing with months, you do the same thing with years, you do the same thing with 10 years, and the same thing with 100 years, right? So once a year, you should do a planning session for the next year. Once every 10 years, you should do a planning session for the next 10 years. Once every 100 years, you do a planning session for the next 100 years, right? And so on if you live for a long time. Now, right, so now you go to the beginning and you see the plan. Now you see the hourglasses. Now you see all these images and the balance, and you've got everything that it takes. Now imagine all the images are there like parts, and they're swirling around. Slam them into your heart and say, in the name of my higher power, I receive it all into my heart. Now, you're seeing all the images at once. Now you're seeing my images. Now your heart's connected to my brain, and my brain's connected to your brain, and each of my cells are connected to each of your cells, and all the books in the universe are opening at once all over the universe, and they're downloading information on how to do it into your brain. The Akashic records and all that weird stuff that enlightened people talk about, they're all opening for you. And all the books of life for the Christian version of that, they're all opening for you too. They're all opening for you too. And the Jewish version, of course, is the same. Jewish version is not the same as the Christian version. So my point is with this, it's now installed. Now what I want you to do, now that when you're done, I mean, if I don't get some likes and shares on this kind of stuff, guys, I'm not going to do videos like this for free. This is like, I could charge $100 for this video. Right? Actually, I may just do that. My point is, if you want me to give this stuff for free, share it and like it and promote your business with it. If you don't, right, then don't. So all the people in here, feel free to send me a personal message if you'd like to travel around and do meditations like this. And we'll keep business. And we'll keep spirituality separate from business together, okay? Is that okay with everybody here? I'm going to start a new brand name that, so my spiritual brand is going to be Dave Wood, and then I'm going to start a new brand name doing business as, and I won't tell you the name yet. And then that one will that one will talk about in a more like friendly with everyone kind of way. And then I'll argue with them and everything like that. So it's going to be like more drama than you can imagine. So my point is with this, okay, now you remember all the affirmations at once, and every affirmation you've ever written, now map it across your unconscious mind, and every affirmation you've ever written was done this way. Shamai weirdness. Okay. Does this help you to understand how to get the results that you want? Why should you do it? Well, I can't remember. Somebody went to Andrew Carnegie, I think, when he had Carnegie Still, and he said, I got a tip, but what I want you to do before I give you the tip is I want you to agree in writing that, or verbally with me, that you're going to pay me for whatever the tip's worth, and I'll give you the tip for free. And he told them to write the 6 most important things to do the next day before the day's done. And that turned his steel company into the biggest steel company in the world in like a couple of years. I think he's like the first billionaire, Andrew Carnegie. Right? So my point is with this is that what I just told you is installing a behavior. Now you got to do it. So now, how do you do it? Well, let's go visualize it. Let's go to the first object and see the planner. Now you imagine yourself and you're planning the next day in a lot of detail. Now you go to the next image for the whiteboard, and you imagine yourself writing on a whiteboard clearly, this is my intention for tomorrow. And then it's very clear, it's like time specific. By the end of the day, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Then, right, you got, I'm going to get X, Y, Z results by the end of the day. That's my intention. Speak it with spiritual energy. Tune into that fire in your heart, right? And if you don't have the fire in your heart, just say, Jesus, please save me, and maybe that will help. So then what you do is you tune into that fire in your heart, right? And then you write an outcome. An outcome is a little bit more clear based on the intention. So the intention is to X, Y, Z. The outcome is more specific and descriptive. The next is a game plan. So you write maybe a page-long game plan, right? The next is to memorize all that. So then what you do is you visualize all of it like I just taught you to do. And then you visualize it the next morning, right? Next, you got the hourglass. So you start with personal development, right? I do 3 hours, but a minimum of 30 minutes of reading, even if you're on a tight schedule, right in the morning, right when you wake up. My dad used to read the scriptures, and then he used to read other stuff all day. My dad read for like hours a day all my life. Okay. And so I come from a wise father. I was taught to read. So you do your personal development while you're listening to audios at the same time. Do it once. The next thing is you've got your habits and stuff like that. Obviously, we're not going to deny that. You work, take massive action on your outcomes and goals. And imagine yourself, you're with a shovel, you're talking to people, you're reaching out your hands, you're building your own furniture, you're swinging an axe, right? You're taking massive daily action. You feel good. You feel like Tony Robbins feels in his heart, and his wife feels in her heart, and my wife feels in her heart, and your wife, it's like all this stuff. You're feeling it all at once, right? And then what you want to do is you want to go inside those images. Go to the first image, go inside. Second image, go inside. Second image, go and put it in your head. Put it in your head. Like put it in your head and heart, right? And then you go and the shovel goes into your heart, all right? Because the work comes from the heart, right? And then it also comes from the head, right? So you can make money in 2 ways. You can make money with the neck down, or you can make money from the neck up, right? This is the way here that makes you a lot of money. Okay, let's just get clear on that. All right, so now, so I'm rebuilding my behavior as I'm helping you rebuild your behavior, and then we can work together because my behavior makes sense to you, right? Because I've rebuilt it in the way that you understand. Does that make sense? So this is what we're doing. We're doing it together. Now I want you to repeat this 3 times a day for 3 days. You don't have to watch the video. You just repeat it in your imagination walking around. Maybe watch the video once a day to check it and everything like that. If you make a mistake, correct the mistake. So, right? It's got to be perfect, right? So then you go into the balance, and you see yourself, you're laying down on a balance, and then you see yourself doing Kung Fu, and you're standing on one leg and you're balanced. You're perfectly balanced. And then you're going to the river, and you're taking the nights off, and you're hanging out with your family. And then you're only doing opportunity presentations at night, and then you're hanging out with the family during the day if that's what you do, right? You're a boss. You're a boss. You're a boss. You're a boss, right? So then what do you do next, right? you go into the next image and you see yourself translated, right? You see yourself shining with gold and silver, and it's like, I've got everything that it takes to succeed inside my heart, right? And then you go to the next image, and then you sit down in yourself and you're leading with value. You've got a book, and then all of a sudden, all the knowledge of Dave Wood and Orrin Woodward is inside your head because it just maps across for all the affirmations that you've ever done are all happening at the same time. Your own goals, your own affirmations, it's all working together, just mapped across now in the name of Jesus. Now, the next thing that you do, right? The next thing that you do is then all of a sudden you see yourself shaking hands. You see yourself reaching out on Facebook. You see yourself responding to an email. You see yourself sending an email. You see yourself connections. Then the next thing is you see yourself on the phone. You see yourself making sales. You see yourself, right, closing sales left and right. Raymond, you're like closing a sale a day now. It's like sales left and right. It's like you're in your car and people are calling you and you're like close. And then all of a sudden that turns into right, what's it go? Conversations. Yeah, Gary Merrill, Jeff Perry, it's all happening for you. Linda Mercado, it's all happening for you. It's like you're getting so much business, so much writing, and Linda, you're like making so much more money that you've ever made in your life, right? Yeah, a little annoyed, right? Takes a lot of work to be self-employed. You better love her, you won't do it, and you won't succeed. Exactly, and that starts with the heart and the brain. And then what it does is it goes into your work, right? And you know that. And she's so self-employed and she's so prosperous, Linda Mercado is. I mean, that's a woman that knows how to prosper. Pay her for some advice. No, look, so in any case, right? So what you do, then you go into the next image, right? In the next image, what you do is you go on top and you see the swimming pool, and then you're hanging out in the swimming pool, and you've got product conversations. So now all of a sudden your conversations turn into product sales, and your product sales is your services. Your product sales is your network marketing products. Okay. Now, like that product first, it's way more duplicatable to lead with the product than it is the opportunity. It's 1,000,000 times more duplicatable. Okay. It's not even close if that's what you're doing. Okay. It's not even remotely close. It's ask Ray Hagdon what he thinks about it. He'll tell you the same thing. Okay, so now all of a sudden, right? Now all of a sudden, what do we got? Now all of a sudden, what do we got? Now all of a sudden, what do we got? Now all of a sudden, what do we got? Now all of a sudden, what do we got? Now all of a sudden, what do we got? Now all of a sudden, you go, and that's turning into the whiteboard. So you see yourself doing whiteboard presentations. You see yourself doing whiteboard breakdowns. You see yourself doing presentations at night. You do see yourself doing presentations in hotel rooms. You see yourself doing presentation in front of your state, in front of your nation, in front of the world, and everybody's watching you, and you're doing presentations, and you're seeing like an endless sea of people, and there's like 1,000 people, then 1,000,000 people, then 1,000,000,000 people, then 10 billion. That's more people in the world. Everybody in the world's watching you, and you're doing a presentation, and you're just so on point. You're so powerful. And then all of a sudden, right? Then all of a sudden, fellowship the righteous. So it's like you're hanging out at your church with your family. You're hanging out with your girlfriend. You're hanging out with your boyfriend. You're hanging out with your parents. You're hanging out with your children. You're hanging out. And then all of a sudden, everybody's traveling together. And all of a sudden, everybody's growing together. And then all of a sudden, everybody is working together. Now, look, right? Yeah, I work for someone else. I love it. It serves me well. Yeah, that works. It takes a lot of work to be self-employed. Right. Seem calm or a little annoyed. Right. Yeah. If I seem a little annoyed. Okay. All right. That's fair. All right. So now the next bit, I'll seem a little less annoyed, right? The next bit that we got, thank you for the feedback. The next bit that we got is what? The fellowship, the righteous turns into what? Because you're putting the friendship first. I learned friendship first, platinum ship second, which was the rank in Amway. Friendship first, diamond second. Friendship first, ambassador second. Friendship first, XYZ second, right? So my point is with this is then what do, right? And then all of a sudden it turns into leadership. And then you're holding the books, and then you're holding a copy of your book, and you're screaming, you're saying, I did it! And the whole world is holding your book above their head, and they're reading it together, and you're a billionaire now if you want. But can we start with $1,000 or $10,000 or $15,000? Now all of a sudden, combined with the previous affirmation, again, I'm just going to repeat you got to go watch that other video. Now that I've got your interest to watch that other video. And I encourage you to like it and share again if you want this information for free. Otherwise, perhaps I won't do it, right? So, and then I'm going to just comment here. No, I'm not going to bother. I say, hey, Linda. All right. So anyways, so in any case, so this turns into what? It turns into fellowship of the righteous. So the fellowship of the righteous turns into what? It turns to exponentially compounding leadership, because then you keep your whole team the affirmations. You teach your whole team the systems. You teach your whole team. And now all of a sudden, if you can remember everything, see, this is what my course is going to teach you to do. All of a sudden, when you remember everything, all the details you want, you can do anything that you want to do. The memory is the most important function in the brain. I'm telling you, it is the most important function, because the memory trains the rest of the intelligence. This is why Beethoven and Mozart used to be able to just like construct things in their mind, and then, you know, whoever that was, and then one of those two did that. And then what they did is that they built the symphony in their mind. They heard it all. They had perfect pitch and everything. And then all of a sudden, they imagined it, and then they just gave it to the orchestra, and it was perfect the first time. You can actually learn to do that. This is not people are like, okay, there's a delay, right? So you seem happier. Yeah, I'm a lot happier, right? I'm a lot happier, right? And so there's a lot of good reasons for why I'm happier, right? So we got people piling on. So now all of a sudden, let me repeat the previous affirmations in forward and reverse order, because those ones are the foundation. Now you have to go back to the other video and watch that other video in order to do this process with those affirmations too. So I encourage you to do this same time, same day, right? Because those affirmations make this work. That's first. This is second. We got to go in order from now on. We used to do things out of order in Empower Network when I was like up at the top of my game or whatever. It was out of order all the time. It was like, let's launch a product and then figure out what's going to be in it. You know, let's launch a company and then figure out that we need customer service. You know, this is out of order. This is not the way that, this is the way that people do things that are challenged in some way with their behavior in a lot of ways. And you say it worked. It also collapsed itself because we did that. I want to be really clear, right? Because we weren't really defined and didn't set strong boundaries in the front end. So we're very defined now. We've set very strong boundaries because you're like, this is who I am. Look, you don't know anything about me whatsoever. You know the old Dave Wood, and the old Dave Wood is like a little fraction on top of a little fraction on top of a little fraction that's on top of a hair on top of another hair on top of another hair on the back of a goat's back. Like, that's how much you know about me. That's it. And so you know what you want to see about me, and what you want to see about me isn't necessarily the truth, right? Does that make sense? And so the reality is this. The reality is that if you really want to get rich, and you really, really, really want to do things in the right way, you're going to listen to me. Period. You're going to listen to me. Because I'm going to teach you step by step, one system after another system, and it'll rebuild your entire life and all your problems. The other thing about visual intelligence is when you use your mind and your visual imagination like this, it gets rid of depression. It gets rid of all the people's tendencies who don't want to live. For example, they don't need medication because their brain just produces its own thing, because you're utilizing your consciousness, and those chemicals rebalance the brain, and there's no depression left that can't exist. You know, and diet will help, and exercise will help, and solving your problems will help. But if you get yourself ordered correctly in your heart and your mind, then all of a sudden, we're going to do it. So, yeah, no, it's true. I'm happier and calmer. So then what do you do? Let me repeat the other affirmations forwards and backwards. I love my higher power. I love myself. I love my family. I set crystal clear intentions. I plan my work. I work my plan. I deserve great wealth. So do you. Right? I'm going to talk to you when I do it in reverse order. Okay? I take massive daily action focused on my outcomes. My family deserves great wealth. I stay in submission to my mentors, my bishop, Orrin Woodward, all the people that are mentors to me in my life. I stay in submission to my mentors. I make 50 phone calls a day or 50 conversations a day, and I close every possible sale that presents itself in my way. I'm a living, breathing example of the prosperity of Torah and righteousness. My consciousness and my brain and my memory is exponentially compounding. I take dominion over every area in my life. My consciousness in the quantum dimensions is exponentially compounding. And just imagine yourself drawing resources from all across the universe, and fields of people are connected, and they're getting ready to buy with you and with me and with everybody, and they're all magnetically attracted to me. Imagine magnets connecting me across the universe. And I go through the open door that's presented to me by my higher power, and I walk into the land of prosperity. Now, you go through the open door presented by your higher power, walking backwards, and you're walking backwards the whole time, and you go into the land of prosperity. Your consciousness is exponentially compounding the quantum dimensions, drawing to you everything that you need. You take dominion over every area of your life. Dominion and authority over every area of your life and every area of your business, particularly if you're a man. Okay. And if you're a woman, you control every area of your life, just like you have always wanted. Right? Your brain is exponentially compounding. Your memory is exponentially compounding in the quantum dimensions and getting supernaturally better each and every single day by watching each one of Dave Wood's videos from this moment on. From this moment on, you're doing it. Okay? You're a living, breathing example of the righteousness of the law of your higher power. You make 50 connections a day, 50 conversations a day, and you follow up and you close every potential sale. You can do that by, for example, sending 50 messages a day on Facebook conversations. You can do that through cold calling. You can do that picking up the yellow pages. You can do that just talking to 50 people on street corners, whatever you do. Okay? 50 conversations. Initiate 50 conversations a day. Just do it a different way every time. Okay? And you're closing every sale. You're closing sales left and right. People are pulling out their credit cards and they're making a decision to buy with you. You're like taking charge. You're taking charge, Linda. You're taking charge, Lawrence. You're taking charge, Bill. You're taking charge, Susan. You're taking charge, Ricky Henton, Albert. You're taking charge, Daniel Liss, Albert, Sue, Kwai, Mang. One of my good friends for a very long time, been loyal to me for a long time. When a bunch of other people aren't loyal, he's sitting there and he's loyal. So that's Albert. Hey, what's up, Art Ross, right? So now all of a sudden, you stay in submission to your mentors. Your family deserves great wealth. Your family deserves great wealth, right? Your family, and what do? You just review the images backwards in your imagination. You remember forwards and backwards. Now, this is what the Cicero method does. And if you think this stuff's good, you can't even imagine how good my course is going to be on the Torah. You can't even, because it's going to teach you how to memorize everything. Everything. Okay? Everything. Now, right? Everything you ever wanted to memorize will be taught in that course or upsold to another course that'll teach it. Okay? Now, let's see. Your family deserves great wealth. You take massive daily action, focus on your outcomes. You deserve great wealth. You plan your work, you plan, you set crystal clear intentions for every area of your life and your business. You love your family, you love yourself, you love your higher power. Now, see both things at once. And now all the images are swirling around and bam, bam, bingo, bingo, bam. That's what it's all about. Bingo, bingo, bam, like my kids like to say. But a funny version of what I did before, because that was a little immature. So this time it's funny. Just like you, you're very funny. If you want to be. And if you want to be serious, you're like making these Donald Trump faces. You're like, no, this is my serious face. This is my... It's like, he's got these game faces. They're so funny. I got to go memorize his game faces, like his 5-6 faces that he does. And then just learn to use them because everybody's conditioned now because he's on the news. You know what I mean? So he's on the news doing this stuff, and so I just condition him, and I utilize his his faces to get everybody paying attention to me. It's very easy to do. Every time I'll do it. So every time you see his face doing it, then you're seeing my face. All I gotta do is hit the news. All I gotta do. Oh, what's wrong with the video is that's my spiritual energy. It disrupts the Facebook thing. It can't stop it. It's like the aura. I mean, look at all my videos. They all do this. You know what I mean? On YouTube, they don't necessarily do this. YouTube's better at managing it, but YouTube, it happens as well. Right? Things like this have always happened around me, but nothing like this. Right? And why is this? It's because Facebook has quantum mechanical computers, which are consciousness, to do a good lot of their computing. I promise they have the most advanced quantum mechanical computer system that exists. Even more advanced than Google. They just don't talk about it. Way more. Facebook is very conscious. So quantum mechanical computing makes the software conscious, and conscious software, it's controlled by the Holy Spirit. It's not gonna be evil. But software that mimics consciousness can be quite evil. But conscious software is not gonna be evil. It just won't be. Can't. The YouTube video is slightly ahead of the Facebook one. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, yeah. So, see ya. I hope that did this help? Now what you do is you go around repeating it, 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 you go around repeating it and imagining it. And then all of a sudden you do that at least 3 times a day. You repeat the whole thing. But I encourage you to do it 3 times, repeat 3 repetitions of each time for 3 days. It'll fixate it permanently. And then it's a good idea to review it every 6 weeks. It'll stay active. And you can review it just by seeing it in your imagination. Bright, vivid, 3-dimensional detail, emotional color, radiance, whatever is going to help you remember. But you don't need the emotional energy to memorize. You know, visual and imagination is way faster. So if you learn to disconnect them, then you can learn to link them later. Make sense? And then the more visual your imagination gets, the more smart you get. Like Einstein. We got to get rid of this crap that's like, oh, people's intelligence can't grow. Tell that to the Buddhists who memorize, who sit there and they meditate for 6 hours a day and see what happens when their crown chakra's open. They're way more intelligent. It's ridiculous. All you got to do to increase your intelligence is exercise all of the pieces of your consciousness to the maximum ability that you have every single day, like a child does. And you get 1,000,000 times more intelligent. This is all you need to do. It's the easiest thing ever. Okay? All right, I got to go. Oh, hit me up if you would like, to travel around with me or whatever. You ask me. You know what I mean? Ask me about it. Say what would it be like? By the way, I got a special video that's with the biggest. This will be the biggest female leader, I'm telling you, in network marketing history. The biggest. And if you want to see that video, we can't use that video. You can't make copies of it. We're going to make another video the next week, and I'm going to use a different name. So that way people don't look me up and find people don't look me up and find all my King David stuff. I'm going to use a different name. I'm not going to tell you what the name is. I'm going to get a DBA and everything, right? This is legal. And then we build under that brand because that way everybody's worried about being associated, right? But all of a sudden, I got a different brand. All right, I'm done. What's up, Rob? And Rob, I'm telling you, this thing, like I outlined in this video, Rob, how this particular leader could put 1 billion people down line. All right. Feel free to hit me up if you want, because you're being attracted to me now.